Hello Capricorn, welcome to your weekly reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul, thank you so much for letting me read for you. If you're watching this reading was meant to find you. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Capricorn, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. A Nine of Swords. Calm down. I know it looks bad. It's not that bad. Okay? What it feels like to me, I'm kind of picturing someone that's lying on a bed of nails, right? Why would you do that to yourself? What is the point here, right? I think you're somebody that you find the benefit in challenging situations, okay? I think that we learn the most when we are going through a difficulty, going through a challenge, okay? Sometimes with a Nine of Swords, this is us intentionally putting ourselves in a challenge in order to grow and to learn and to develop character. Okay. This is sort of one of the reasons why we restrict ourselves from doing everything that we want. We try to have a little discipline. We try to build up some resilience here, right? You continue to push yourself at the gym, lifting these heavy weights. Why? Well, so we can adapt, so our muscles can get used to it. And then picking up things like the groceries or our kids, it's just like nothing. They're just like little, like Nerf balls, right? So it's an ability for us to withstand the challenges of life. The things that life throw at us aren't going to hurt as bad because I've already been through something. I've already trained myself to be okay with that, to know how to handle that. It's just like lifting the heavy weights. We go to the gym and lift these heavy weights until we get really, really strong. And then during the course of our day, whatever random things happen, I can pick it up. I can do it. I have the strength of my limbs, core strength, I guess, is important now. I have that strength in order to handle that. Okay? And I think that this is kind of the same thing, but mentally, right? Mentally, we're laying on a bed of nails. And if we can sleep on a bed of nails, we could sleep anywhere. You could sleep on a plane, a train, in a boat, or on a whatever, right? So mentally, I feel like we sort of do the same thing. We're going through the worst possible scenarios in our mind in order to strengthen ourselves, in order to say, oh, you know what? I've been through that. That's not, and then anything else we encounter in life, well, it's not going to be terrible, So it's kind of like a voluntary privation. It's a voluntary challenge. We're putting ourselves through something and it's kind of like we're training ourselves. We're building up our resilience. We're building up our strength and our ability to withstand these kinds of things. And it kind of feels like something that's right up your alley. It feels like this is kind of a Capricorn speciality. We're kind of doing things, excuse my voice today, doing things the hard way sometimes, right? So that by doing it intentionally, doing it on purpose, doing it voluntarily, so that when we have to do it involuntarily, when we have to do it unintentionally, when it sort of happens, it happens to us in life, we'll be ready for it. Okay? It's kind of like you go through 1,000 math problems so that when you're taking the test, it's time for your finals. You don't know what questions are going to be on there, but you're pretty confident I can handle anything. And that's sort of the reason for studying, right? And maybe this is that card that says that we've been taxing ourselves mentally, intellectually, so that we can we can handle whatever life throws our way. You see what I'm saying here? Every card has light and shadow. The shadow side of that is that we're just punishing ourselves. We're just doing that because we hate ourselves. That's not the case. We're putting ourselves through these challenging situations. We're doing the drills, the training, the weightlifting. We're sleeping on the bed of nails to build ourselves up, to get ready for something, right? And so the more that we intentionally and voluntarily put ourselves through challenges, the easier we're going to be able to deal with those natural challenges that just happen. You know what I'm saying? Let's put this card into a little bit of context. I think this is a very interesting way to start a reading. Our next card is the Four of Wands. The Eon card, rebirth, reawakening, baptism by fire. Now, the Knight of Pentacles. That is one of your superpower cards. Okay, this card is a blessing. This is a cardinal earth energy. It represents the Capricorn sign. Okay? Three of Wands. See, it's all intentional. There's a reason for all of this. And the Death card in the future. Yeah, this is something that I think this is something that you in some ways have been doing intentionally. This is in preparation for something else. And maybe the Knight of Pentacles looking into the future. That's what the Knights do. They look into the future. You can see the end result that we want. I can see who I am in the future, where I am, and what I'm doing. Now to get there, I got to go through the Nine of Swords. To go through there, to get to who I want to be, etc. I've got to go through the gauntlet of that Nine of Swords. I got to go through the pain. See, pain is inevitable. It's suffering. That's different. I think the Nine of Swords here is pain. It's putting ourselves through mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress to really build up our resilience, build up our ability to handle anything, right? Building up your strength and your fortitude, mentally, emotionally, physically, so that you can build this future self. You can become who you're going to become. I think that your life is shifting very fast now. I think 2025 is going to be the year where Four of Wands, we sort of, we're ready for whatever this has been preparing us to do. It's sort of the way, I don't know, it's the way astronauts will be put through all those really grueling tests. You know, you see on YouTube, there's these videos of astronauts training to go out to space, and they're just put in like a centrifuge kind of thing, and they just spin them around like 1,000 miles an hour. What the heck good is that? It seems like torture, right? Well, no, it's training. Torture and training are sometimes very, the line is blurred between the two sometimes. But it's training them so that when they're up in that spaceship and whatever may happen, they know that they can handle that kind of G-force and that kind of gravitational pull and those spin and whatever it is, and still be conscious and still be able to perform tasks, essentially, right? It's training. Training for the worst possible scenario, the worst extreme scenario. Then you can handle anything. And then, a little bit of, my spaceship's kind of spinning out of control. That's a walk in the park, right? And the Four of Wands, I think, is the completion of that training, right? And the moving on from that. And now we're putting that behind us and we're moving forward. Now, maybe this wasn't so voluntary. Okay, there's a possibility that the Nine of Swords is a situation that you didn't really want to be in, but you were there. It is coming to an end and you're going to put it behind you. But the way you're choosing to look at it, not as, why did this happen to me? This was torture. This is awful. No, we're looking at it and thinking, if I can handle that, insert some expletives, then I can effing handle anything. Yeah. And it really is a choice about the way we're looking at it. And maybe this is something voluntary. We have a Three of Wands at the top here, which is a virtue. It's your ability to do the right thing. And it could just be the virtue of that objective view. Okay, this is the situation that I was in. I'm choosing to look at this as training rather than torture, right? It was painful, yes, but I don't have to suffer it. Okay, I think that situation is ending for you. Whether this was, I mean, it's kind of like a boot camp or basic training, right? It feels like that. It feels like you really were in that situation where it was the worst case scenario, the most extreme conditions, right? But it's preparing you for something else. And I think with the Eon card here and the Three of Wands is that you know that this is preparing you for something else on the other side. That it's getting you ready for this great adventure, for this leveling up. It's allowing you to sort of be reborn. That's kind of part of our death card too. This should be really called the rebirth card. But between these two, all of this happened for a reason. And now you're about to be reborn from that. It's kind of like someone who finishes basic training. I was never in the military. All right? Very often I wish that I had. I don't know. I feel like I'd maybe have more discipline or something, but life happens the way it happens, you know. But it's sort of someone emerging from basic training, and now they feel like they're a new person. They feel like that process changed them for the better, right? It's an initiatory experience. Coming out of something like a Nine of Swords, you're a different person on the other side of it. And you can choose to either be a worse person, right? Or you can choose to be strengthened for that situation or that experience to really create character, to really help you with your personal development, your spiritual evolution. Okay? And we're not trying to justify, traumatic experiences or painful experiences at all, or bad relationships or anything like that. I feel like this is something akin to training. Okay? And it may be a situation that you chose because you knew that it would help you to become the person you want to become. And I do feel with that Four of Wands that this situation is coming to a close, and we're ready to see what's next. Now, if there's anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Let's finish up with the path of the Serpent here. We have a Queen of Cups, an Eight of Pentacles, a Two of Wands, and the High Priestess. See, the High Priestess is showing you the way to your Empress, showing you the way to your best life. Okay? And maybe the greater the trial, the greater the reward. This is a situation that has led to a lot of personal growth for you. It is, it's a resilience. It's the ability of a tree to have very deep roots, very strong trunk, can withstand any storm. Because it grew up not sheltered from the world, right? You didn't keep it inside the house and then you put the tree outside and the first breeze that comes along, it's going to snap. No, it's out there. It's out there in the world getting banged around. It's out there in the pressure cooker, getting tested, trying and failing, and building up strength and resilience over time. So even if that Nine of Swords is not a particular exact specific event of training, I feel like that is you not shying away from doing things the right way, which is very often the hard way. You're not someone who looks for shortcuts. You're not someone who wants to take the escalator up to the top of the mountain. No, you're saying, I'm going to climb the mountain. Either way, you get to the top, right? Either way. But it's more meaningful. It does something to you. It changes you. It builds you up stronger if you have to climb the mountain yourself. It's the difference between someone who wins the lottery, $1 million, they've gone from nothing to suddenly $1 million. The difference between that and somebody that works hard, built a business, invested their money, strategized, failed, tried, failed, and tried again, and got the $1 million. Yeah, one path is faster, just like that, win the $1 million. But which one's more meaningful? Which one develops your character? Which one is going to allow you to really do something with that $1 million? You know, I get $1 million, I'd probably spend it all in one day. You can test me on that. So I'd rather work hard. I mean, trust me, I'd take the lottery win any day, right? Any day of the week. but working hard, building your business and creating that, it's if the goal is going to be the same either way, you're the one that's going to take the path, not the path of least resistance, not the easiest course. You're going to take the one that's going to be the most, I think, virtuous. Three of Wands, going to build you up stronger. It's about who you are. The $1 million, it's the same. The summit of the mountain is going to be the same. Who are you going to be when you get to the summit? You see what I mean? So I think this is really a huge, huge year for you. 2025, I think, is going to see you getting to the top of that mountain. And I think you did it the hard way. That's why we've got the 9 of Swords, but that's why we got the 4 of Wands, right? Because the 4 of Wands is you in this suffering, painful, let's say, painful situation, knowing that it's impermanent. All of the 4s, don't know if you know this, imply impermanence. Okay? Because the 4 is that restful state that inevitably is going to become a 5. Anytime we get a 4, we start looking around for the 5, right? Well, you had a 9. That's the most extreme 5, really, the change, action. It's a function, right, because it's an odd number. The even numbers are stable states, relatively stable. The 9s, the 5s, the 7s, the 3s, the aces, the odd numbers are motion, movement, function, flow, activity, change, right? So all of this activity now is coming to a restful place. It's ending. And we know that this pain, whatever this training was, whatever this grueling climb up the mountain, we know that it's temporary. Okay? And I think this is really a very important lesson for all of us. But I think it's an important lesson that you learned, and now you're ready to reap the rewards. Because this pain is temporary. The struggle here is temporary. Whatever the conditions are, temporary. You're engaged with this, knowing and really it's the impermanence of things that makes it easier to deal with. Knowing it's not going to last forever. How do you run a marathon? By reminding yourself that it's gonna freaking end at some point, right? That at some point you're going to be able to sit down and drink some water and go to sleep for, a month. One time I climbed a mountain. It was a very small mountain. It was right after my transplant. It was Mission Peak in California. I don't know, Fremont Bay area somewhere. Mission Peak. It's not very, to anyone that knows, it's not very high. It's not anything, right, for most people. I barely got to the top. I was huffing and puffing. I could not even talk by the time I got to the top. The only thing that got me through was knowing that my friends had booked me a hotel for that night and the next night, so I can just be done. I can go stay at the hotel and recover for a couple days. Because I had literally just had my transplant like a month before. And I thought I was donezo, right? I didn't think I could do it. But, my friends kept reminding me, hey, it's temporary. Eventually, you're going to get to the hotel. Think of that bed. You can do this for a few hours. It took me 7 hours to go up and down that mountain. And I remember it. It was kind of raining, drizzling that day. But it was rough for me anyway. Maybe not, maybe wouldn't be for you or other people. It doesn't matter. And that's kind of the point of this too, is that we're not comparing ourselves to other people. Because other people, they may be able to climb the mountain with no effort. And there were people that were running up and down that mountain. I wasn't trying to compare myself to them. I was saying it's important for me to get up and back down, knowing that this pain I'm experiencing is temporary, and that I'm going to get back to that hotel and be able to eat, and I'm going to be able to rest. There's a reason why. There wasn't anything at the top for me other than the satisfaction of doing it. There was no $1 million up there, right? I wasn't thinking there would be, but yeah, you never know. Anyway, let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. It'll go right here with Clark W. Griswold III. I just showed my daughter that Christmas Vacation movie the other day. She loved it. She's 4. She didn't understand the whole thing or really appreciate the humor, but God, I love watching that movie. That's my favorite movie. Anyway, looking around the room here, we've got our major arcana here, here, and here. We know that this process is a transition. It's a doorway through which you are you're transcending your previous state of life, and you're following that Empress. Now, the Empress is very important, the High Priestess is very important because it always shows us the way to our Empress life, that big rock candy mountain. The Empress is showing you. The Empress is there in front of you saying, come this way. Come to the summit of the mountain because that's where the paradise is. This is like your friend who's saying, don't worry, this pain you're feeling is temporary. There's a reward at the top here for you. It's going to be, it's worth it. There's a reason why you're going through this. This is something that is not only building character and making you a strong person, but there's a reward at the end of it too. Okay? The High Priestess is card number 2 of the tarot. The Empress is card number 3. Right behind the High Priestess is that paradise, that best life, right? That reward and comfort and joy and celebration, that big rock candy mountain. Yeah. And so this is where we're headed. All right. And this is 2025. I think this is huge. I think your life is shifting fast now because I feel like you're getting out of this difficult climb. The impermanence is here. You're seeing that this 9 of Swords is fading away, right? And we're going through this this transition, right? And I think the Death card is very important here because the Death card is our ability to accept the pain of life, the inevitable, right? And even use that as motivation. So it's kind of like the experience that you had with that 9 of Swords is propelling you forward even faster. Okay, and sometimes it's even in that physical way where we're reminded that I'm a physical being and I will perish at some point. That's why we go to the gym, our muscles get sore. It puts us in touch with our bodies. Okay, I think that's a really big thing for you is getting in touch with your physical nature, having that body awareness, because that reminds us that, hey, yeah, I'm in a body. Whether I am the body or I am of the body, I don't know philosophically, but there's something here that I can feel and touch, and that hurts sometimes, right? But also feels good sometimes too. And it reminds us that we are mortal beings, at least I think most of us are. And that's sort of motivating us. You know, it's kind of like this you only live once kind of thing. You know, let's make the most of this life because the next life may be worse, right? If you want to look at it that way. And so death is the advisor, right? Consult and confer with Carlos Castaneda. Using that as motivation, using our own mortality as a reason to get up and do the difficult things and get to the top of that mountain and build ourselves into this strong being and, of course, get the $1 million at the top too, right? So I think that's a very good... And I feel like what you're doing in life is really, you're at the cutting edge of something. You're doing something you've never done before. 2025 is going to feel like you're chiseling it out of stone. That you're carving your own way. It's never been done before. Right? And I always find that fascinating. Everybody who's alive right now, everybody who's conscious and awake right now, we're at the cutting edge of consciousness. We're at the very edge of the universe. We're at the frontier of life, of existence, right? And I feel like this is very specific in your life too, that you are doing something you've never done before, and therefore there's really no there's no plan, there's no predictability to it. And so the 9 of Swords becomes training for the worst possible conditions because you don't know what the conditions are going to be. You got to be ready for anything. You see. The Eon card, yes, is that doorway because you feel that this is a transition to a new life, right? This is a big shift, and the fire energy. We got fire. We've got a little bit of water here, We had the air right there, right? And then we've got the couple of earth cards. So it's fairly balanced in terms of the elemental energy and the major arcana. The Eon card underneath everything. This is a rebirth. This is kind of like when you get to the summit of the mountain, it feels like you're a different person. You know, going through that Nine of Swords, whatever that is, whatever the painful and grueling climb up the mountain is, it's changing you. That is you walking through a doorway. And maybe it's taken months or years, I don't know. But it's a rebirth, you know. And this is also, I think, the reminder that we're going to be reborn through this process. We will rise from the ashes of this pain or whatever, and we'll be like the phoenix. This, you know, in my sort of anecdote, when I climbed that hill, you know, it took me a couple days to recover, but I did. Eventually, I rose up from that. It laid me low. I literally, I pulled all my muscles. I was in bed for a couple days. But then I rose, and then I felt, wow, I did that. You know, like that was, I didn't think I could do it. I thought I'd get halfway and I'd have to turn back, but I pushed myself and I did it. And that was rewarding. And now you wake up and you just have this increase of confidence that says, okay, well, now what do I want to do next in life? Now what do I want to do? I'm capable of anything now, you know? I feel like this is a path for you that really is going to change your life, though, in other ways. I feel like this is really a doorway to a new universe for you. You are at the cutting edge of something. So going through this doorway, yes, it has to be a painful experience. But on the other side of this doorway, you're really able to sort of carve whatever picture you want out of that stone. Okay? I think this is huge for you. It's really big. And the interesting thing is the Knight of Pentacles, your superpower card. Here's one of your patron cards, represents the Capricorn energy, the cardinal earth energy, but it's in your past. It's looking at the future, but it was yesterday, right? I think this is either the way you're choosing to look at things retrospectively. You're choosing to look at the past and say, okay, I was looking through this situation to see the benefit. It's almost like after the fact, we kind of say, I meant to do that. You know that old phrase, I meant to do that. It's the way we might even be looking at a lot of our history and thinking, in retrospect, I'm so much stronger for having gone through those things. I wouldn't have chosen them, but I am who I am because of them. You know, the knights always look at the future. Always, the Knight of Pentacles is looking at the mountain and looking at the summit of the mountain. Sometimes thinking, I can't do that. There's no way, right? That's impossible. And that's kind of what we're looking at here with the Nine of Swords, the Knight of Pentacles. I think this was perhaps when you began this journey. You were looking at this mountain and you're thinking, there's no way I can do that. I wouldn't make it. I can't climb that hill. I can't get through basic training. I can't do that in the gym. There's no way I can go through this process, right? But what we're really motivated by is that Empress, I keep calling it the Empress, the High Priestess. Because we know that it is through this experience that we are transforming our lives and we are growing, building, establishing, creating that Empress life. And if we recognize and we keep in mind that this is a temporary struggle, a temporary trial or training, makes it a little bit easier to tolerate, right? But at the very least, this is creating in you this virtue. Now, the Three of Wands is you doing the right thing even when it's hard, even when it's so difficult. It's so much easier to just take the easy road and, you know, whatever that might be. It takes so much more courage and strength and power, and it takes virtue, right, to do the right thing, to take the difficult path. The difficult path being the one that develops character along the way. rather than the easy. And trust me, I've taken the easy route in life many times. I've taken the shortcut, right? Let's say at work, you got a project. You could either do things the right way, it's going to take you all day, or you could sort of half-ass it, get it done in a couple hours, and then you could go take a long lunch. I very often chose the long lunch, right? But see, that doesn't really, what is that creating in us? Who are we becoming by doing that? And that's what we have to, that's why the retrospective, looking at that Knight of Pentacles in the back, thinking, who did I become by making those choices that I've made in my life? How did that influence who I am today? The Knight of Pentacles knows that every thought, word, and deed is creating your future self. So with this card in the background position, this is now us, right now, here, today, presently, thinking, how did my past thoughts, words, and deeds create the person I am now? And what decisions do I need to make now in order to continue to mold myself in the way I want to be? Who do I want to be in the future? So we need that retrospective. And we've made good choices and we've made bad choices. We've taken the high road and the low road. We've taken the shortcut and the long cut. We have done the virtuous and difficult thing because it was the right thing. And we've done, and this is not any kind of a like moral imperative or anything, right? This isn't some kind of a moral stance. There's no absolutes here. It's all relative. The Three of Wands is you knowing what is right for you. Making the decisions to do things the right way, even if they're more difficult, because that's who you want to be. That's the kind of self that you're trying to create. You see what I mean? Character development. There's no universal right and wrong in this case. It's about who do you want to be, where do you want to be, and what do you want to be doing in the future. You have to do the right things today, the right thoughts, words, and deeds today, if you want to create that person. Just like the person you are today, right now, was created by your thoughts, words, and deeds all through your life, up till now, right? Even yesterday, even this morning, right? My decision to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and not sleep in, that created who I am right now. Because I wanted to sleep in. I'm tired, you know. But this is the right thing for me. May not be for anybody else. May not be the right thing for my daughter, right? She's 4. She should sleep a little bit longer. But for me, it's the right thing. And I think this is how we need to look at a lot of our choices right now. And I think this is how you're looking at the last several months of your life. This is it. This is the moment where I think you're realizing who you are becoming and what sort of accomplishments you are climbing toward. I feel like you're there. I feel like you're very close to being there. Let's talk about the Path of the Serpent. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free, supports the channel, and I appreciate that. Your general energy is a Queen of Cups. And the queens look at the past. The knights look at the future. Future and past. These two are looking at each other. And I think you're feeling some type of way about the decisions that you've made in the past, right? And maybe this is even the idea that looking retrospectively at the past, we've made some decisions, some thoughts, words, and deeds that have led to sort of unnecessary pain and suffering. And so we're trying to put an end to that too and make good decisions now so that we don't have to repeat any of those 9 of Swords, trials, tribulations, or trainings, right? However you want to look at them. So, this isn't to say that we're the cause of all of our own pain and suffering. No, there's a lot out there in the world that we cannot control. Things happen in the world and we hurt, right? It's inevitable. But we might as well do our very best to control those things that we can control to help minimize our own pain and suffering. Okay? But the avoidance of pain and the seeking of pleasure does not override your virtue. The virtue says, I'm going to do the right thing, whether it feels good or not. And secondary to that, priority number 2 is to avoid pain and seek pleasure. You see what I'm saying? But this has to take the top priority. And that's why this is at the very top of your reading today. But the Queen of Cups is sort of is going through a range of emotions about the decisions that we've made in the past and how they have molded who we are becoming now and in the future, so that we can, of course, make better decisions, and we can continue to develop ourselves and evolve ourselves spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Maybe this is all about going to the gym or something, right? I feel like your life is shifting very fast now. I think I get this impression that things are speeding up now. I wonder if this wheel of this cycle, and maybe this is about a karmic cycle too. Maybe we realize that all the suffering in our life has been and needs to be recognized as being temporary, which means that there's always something we can do, whether it's looking at something differently or taking literal actions to change that reality and begin evolving and creating a new version of ourselves or a new version of our reality. Okay? But however you want to look at it, this cycle of pain, of trial, tribulation, or training, right, is ending. Okay, that's the main message of these two cards. And the Queen of Cups, of course, is it's a card of self-love. It's a card of emotional intelligence. It's a card of emotional transparency. We have to be very honest with ourselves about how we feel about ourselves. Do you love yourself? Can you love yourself more? Are you taking care of yourself? Does it mean you're avoiding pain? Are you making the right decisions? Do you like who you're becoming? And if the answer is no, we can change that. If the answer is yes, okay, keep doing it. We have to accept ourselves as we are. So there's also this kind of idea of the suffering. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. We don't have to agree with every decision that we made. I don't agree with every situation that younger Paul made, but I forgive myself. I'm not harboring that much resentment or self-loathing over it. We don't have to suffer that and keep and allow it to affect us now. Right? Young Paul made the decisions that he thought was right at the time. Now, I may not make those same decisions. I wouldn't have made those decisions if it were me, but it wasn't me, it was younger me, right? So this card's just about self-love, self-forgiveness, radical self-love, and self-acceptance. Whatever has happened, we can start right now. We're at the cutting edge of consciousness. We are at the frontier of our own lives. Think about that. Everything we do, every thought, word, and deed right now, we're inching forward through time and space and existence and eternity, and we're becoming. Everything we do is right at the edge of the universe, and that's sometimes a very heavy responsibility, right? So the next card is your 8 of Pentacles. That is your patience with yourself, I think, and with the world around you. Knowing that Rome wasn't built in a day, knowing that we have to look at our trials and tribulations as mechanisms of growth, right? That we're developing and growing character, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual strength, and that we like what we're growing into. Every thought, word, and deed changes us. Everything that happens around us changes us. And we're making the decisions to direct that a little bit. That's what the Death card is, change. This is the fundamental force of the universe, change. Nothing stands still. Nothing is ever stagnant or stuck or stopped. Life is never on pause, right? Even if it feels like it. Even if it feels like we're stuck and stagnant, the death card is moving on, slow and steady. Death isn't in a hurry. It's going to get to everybody eventually, so don't worry. Change is always in motion, right? And the awareness of that gives us more responsibility, yes, but gives us more freedom in a way. Gives us more power, makes us feel like, okay, I can become whoever I want to become. I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. We have patience with ourselves, and we know that we're choosing to look at life. We're choosing to look at the trials, tribulations, and trainings as mechanisms of growth, right? As experiences that are fortifying us and strengthening us. And the stronger the roots, the stronger the trunk, the stronger the branches, the bigger and sweeter the fruit. Yeah. And I think that this is a proper relationship to your environment right now. The Two of Wands here, this is the obstacle. The obstacle is, of course, that we want to control everything. The obstacle is realizing that there's a lot outside of our sphere of influence. We can control our perspective, our beliefs, our attitudes, our thoughts, words, and our deeds. We cannot control that of other people. We cannot control the weather. We can't control certain things about our life, where we were born, how tall we are, right? So we have to accept that there is a lot of things that are outside of our control. Let's not worry about that. Something's gonna happen. I'm gonna feel pain again at some point. What I can try to do is always do the right thing to strengthen myself, to prepare myself for any sort of encounter. If I can't control something and make it pleasant and good and everything, if I can't control it, I at least want to be able to handle it when it happens, to control myself to deal with it appropriately, right? And all of this is leading you up the mountain to your high priestess. The high priestess is always in front of you. It's your spirit. It's like it's almost a carrot, on a stick in front of you. And the high priestess is saying, yes, keep coming this way. Keep coming this way. Your destiny is this way. Your best life is right here. Every moment you're creating your Empress energy. Every thought, word, and deed, we can be creating this paradise. You can be building your best life every step of the way. We're building it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It's with us. It's within us. Even if the situations around you are constantly changing, maybe you're moving where you live, or your job is changing, your friends are changing, whatever. But the feeling that you're living your best life, that's in here. That's in your soul, right? And the high priestess is trying to show you the way. Now let's look at that mystery card. Of course, I want to see the Empress. I think that would be stunning right now. I'd probably pass out if this is the Empress. It could be some water energy. I would like to see some very good cups. 3, 6, 9, 10 of cups, or Empress. If you have a prediction, Capricorn, put it in the comments. It's a 5 of Wands. More fire energy, right? Anytime we get a 4, we start looking for the 5. Well, we had the 9, right? I said we had the active card, and now we get a reprieve. Well, don't get too comfortable, because the 5 is coming next. And then from that, you'll get another reprieve. You'll get either a 6, or you'll get a 10, or something like this, right? An even number, maybe another 4. But what this means is life is always going to be a struggle. Life is, and I mean that in a very positive way. It's always this, it's always an internal battle. We've got to wrestle with ourselves to do the right thing. If you're not battling yourself sometimes, then maybe you're not really paying attention. If you're just sort of sleepily going through life doing whatever you do, then I don't think you're intentionally creating your best life. You're not living virtuously, right? And I don't mean that in some moral sense. So to be awake is to always be wrestling with ourselves, to always be trying to figure out what is the right thing to do and how can I push because the body's going to want to go to sleep and just, eat pleasant food. All of our systems, all of our bodies want pleasure over pain. Physical pleasure over pain. Emotional, mental pleasure over pain. It's just the way, right? So to force ourselves to do something difficult takes effort. Okay? And if we're just giving the body, the mind, and the heart everything it wants, then we're not really in control, are we? So we always need to be wrestling a little bit with ourselves. We always got to be working on something, right? And I think that this is part of our relationship with the external world too. Because if we're engaged, then that means we're interacting. And that means that there's push, there's pull. That we're really driving the car. We're on the accelerator. We're hitting the brakes. We're hitting the gas. We're stepping on the gas a little bit harder, or we're just coasting. But we're doing something. We're driving, right? So the 4 is that temporary reprieve. The 5 is then we're going to continue climbing. We're getting back to work. We're still at it. We're still building something, right? And, this is the card of fighting, right? But if you look at these individuals, they almost look like they're sort of working together to build a barn or something, right? So this is kind of like we have to continually try to organize ourselves and coordinate our lives with the external world. Because you're not asleep anymore. You're awake. And to be awake means we're going to be engaged. It means we're going to have interactions. It means we're going to always be trying to achieve harmony. Right? You understand the process of change. You understand what it takes to work toward harmony. And we'll have those states of harmony, and they'll be glorious. And then we'll have to get back to work to get the next harmony, or to maintain the harmony. Starts to slip out of gear a little bit, you got to get it back in there. Yeah. This is good. This is going to be a really good year for you. Really, really good. We're going to do an extended reading. If you want to stick around, there's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Capricorn are on Thursdays and Sundays. Be sure to watch both readings. Leave a comment if you haven't yet. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you. And we're all in this together.